Good morning, everyone. Welcome to In an NYC Minute. I'm Amy Stein. I'm a licensed real estate broker in New York City, as well as dual licensed in the state of Connecticut. I specialize in markets throughout Manhattan and Brooklyn, and I am starting this channel because I've been in real estate somewhere between 7 and 8 years. I grew up in the generation of reality television shows. I've been on a couple clips, on the most notable one in New York, $1 Million Listing. And what I was always amazed to see is that what actually hit the show was the drama-worthy shenanigans. They make really good television, but it's actually not what happens in New York City real estate. I think I pride myself on being very professional and being very ethical with other brokers. I've slowly built my client base over these years. I like to say that I spun my business out of air, and I'm, very pleased to say that I enjoy working with every single one of my clients. It's been a true pleasure to service all of you, and I thought I could shed some light on some of the misconceptions in the real estate world, especially in New York City, where we march to the beat of our own market rules. So for starters, New York is not on a multiple listing system. I should say New York City because the rest of New York State for the most part is. But the New York City markets, most of the listings throughout New York and let's say Manhattan and Brooklyn, some Queens markets are on an MLS, but in most of the listings in the 5 boroughs are not, and we go into centralized listing system. There's third-party aggregators that also cover the listings, and some take listing feeds, some don't. I could mention a couple of them that are popular, but I'm sure you already know about them. But I think the most notable difference for our market is that we're a vertical market. And instead of, and what that means is that we have tall buildings with multiple units. We have a diversity of housing stock, where in the balance of the United States, it's predominantly single-family homes, some condos. The co-ops do exist, but we have such a diverse stock of housing product. Most of our housing product consists of condos and co-ops rather, and those go through their own unique approval processes that are probably unique to New York City. We have management companies that kind of keep the books for those buildings and manage those buildings, and so that adds an additional layer to our process. So that said, it's not rocket science. It's like any other market. It's supply and demand, and if you are working with the right individuals, you can successfully purchase and sell within those markets. So what's going on now? Today is Sunday, and it's probably Sundays in my history in New York real estate has been very busy. I'm hosting my own open houses if I have listings. If I am working with buyers, when I'm not hosting my own open houses, I might cover those, and to be out personally with my buyers, looking at stock. And as we say, Sundays are like Mondays in real estate in New York City, and I'm sure that's very common for the rest of the markets I know in Connecticut, where I also worked. That's true as well. So today is June 7th, and we are in New York. We are still deemed non-essential service during the shutdown, and we cannot show. So this is the past, I would say about 3 months have been very interesting because we cannot show property. We can receive fines. Do I have listings? Yes. Are people asking to see them? Yes. Can I show them? No. If there was some system where I could get people to, leaving, if there is door staff, I could leave a key with a doorman and FaceTime it with them. But if it's any service that has me leaving my home, I'm not supposed to do it. So I've been working from home for about 3 weeks and, 3 months. And, ironically, it has been very busy. I think it's been busy for me because I have clients that I do 4, 5, 6 transactions with per group. Sometimes it's a family, sometimes it's a couple, sometimes it's the same person that I'm transacting with over and over again. So that part of real estate is very valuable to me. I value all my clients, and I protect them and represent them as if they were my own family. And so I think that's why I have business that's coming up by just having my phone ring while I'm sitting in the comfort of my home. So I have a couple deals on the go. I think the giant question is, what is this doing to our real estate market? It has slowed it down. It has provided an additional layer of negotiability. The most consistent number is about 10% I've seen in the deals I've negotiated. I think I've gotten about roughly 10%, maybe a little bit over during COVID restrictions. But the reality is that New York is the greatest city in the world, and I don't think that will ever change. People will always seek housing opportunities in New York and need shelter in New York as they come here to work and further their careers. And New York is, and I say this all the time, a place where anything is possible. So we didn't ever think a pandemic or a shutdown of this length and severity could happen, but it did. But then, think about the other things that we didn't think could happen in New York, like 9/11. Tragic. I probably can't even get into that because it makes me very emotional when I think of 9/11. Sandy, I was there for Sandy, watching, the storm come in from my Upper West Side apartment. And now the pandemic and watching, just watching the incredible toll that it's taken on my city is just, obviously I still find it very hard to talk about it. And then the recent racial tensions, which are throughout the country, obviously, and are probably the most recent instances are things that happen outside New York, but New York is very liberal. New Yorkers will always stand for what we feel is right. I think that things could be done so on a peaceful way. I think we can watch and learn from these tragic events. I think it feels weird to talk about it. It feels weird to say nothing. And obviously, I'm not a person of color. But that said, some of my closest friends, some of my, immediate family by marriage, it's impacting those groups, and it's very difficult to think that in 2020 we still have any sentiment at all of differences because of the way someone looks. So, I believe people should be treated equally. I believe, we have very many fair housing rules in New York City where we have to pledge over and over again that we'll treat people fairly. But I think that's just an inherent thing that should happen without a law and without a course. It just shouldn't have any type of discrimination or police brutality or violence. I obviously am, it's puzzling to me how it even exists on this planet, but it does. And I think the more people open their heart and their mind to different points of view, and to be more accepting of each and every person that you come across in life, then maybe we'll see some forward movement and some progress and peace in the world. And New York is, getting back to New York, is it is very global, or it's a very diverse city, and you will hear me in this on this channel talk over and over again about New York is a place where anything is possible, and it's a place where people go to make their dreams come true, whether people choose to live there or choose to visit it. It is just a dynamic, amazing, luminous city that, it will and New York will always be, always was and always will be, one of the great financial markets of the world, and the center, one of the great business centers of the world, and the center of opportunity. So with that, I'd like to open this up for questions. What would you like to hear more about in the real estate world? What are you confused about? I mean, we could talk about different things on this channel, like, for example, the co-op process, which is very unique to New York, which, is a topic that could go on for a couple hours. We could talk about mortgage rates and what a great opportunity it is to buy right now. They're at present, they're hovering in and around about 3%, which is a historic low for mortgage rates. We can talk about what would the demand be after, talk about what I'm seeing in the market, living, breathing it every day. We could talk about where my personal opinion on the opportunities for investment in New York are. I could talk for long about that. I really enjoy talking about real estate development and the changing skyline of our city. But I'd really like to make this interactive and make this informational. So I'm Amy Stein, and I'm a licensed real estate broker in New York City, dual licensed in Connecticut. I will say my Connecticut license is currently on referral, because it's a market right where I currently live in the suburbs of Connecticut. I was 12 years in New York City, living on the Upper West Side, and I have a dog, and I really just wanted to give him a place to run. And the Central Park has been wonderful. There's pros and cons to, obviously recently in the press, the off-leash hours and the off-leash areas and things like that, and I just felt a little bit restricted by that, and so I wanted to basically rest my head in a different place and live somewhere else for a little while. But I've been living here 3 years, and I go back and forth between Connecticut and New York. Obviously, right now there is no need to. We cannot show property, and our offices are not open. So I've been working from Connecticut. So. That is my background, and I hope this will encourage some questions and some really great interactions. We could do some question and answers. We can do some Zoom video with some industry experts and explore those topics, but I'd like to make this about what you want to hear and what you want more clarity on in the real estate market. I am on Instagram and Twitter at NYC Minute, and this channel at NYC Minute on YouTube. And I welcome any questions. I'm easily accessed on the internet, as every real estate person is. But I'd like to make this generally for the public, although I value any business that results from new connections that this video may create. I do want to be very informational. I think that's something that we can improve on in our market. So with that, have a beautiful Sunday. Please stay safe, everyone. Please keep an open heart and mind as you go about your daily interactions. And please feel free to send me any questions. That's it. Thanks, everyone.